start recording. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, the gang's all here. This is great.
Yay.
I'm
Thank you.
Martha. You're here too. Are you nice and warm?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that smile.
We've already been down the beach. It's really nice.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I can
And it
see the
snowed
sunshine.
in Asheville last night.
It did not. Really?
A little,
What was that?
crunchy.
It snowed in Nashville.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
27 when we left for the airport at 4:15 in the morning.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a bit rude.
oh my God, I didn't realize that.
Golly, I'm so glad that you made it. I
Yeah,
was wondering about you.
yeah.
That's
And
great.
our pet sitter who was flying in from St. Louis also made it, which I didn't even think about.
Wow.
Oh, yay.
Anyway,
Sorry, I don't want to start there. Um,
no, that
that's great. I didn't realize what kind of pet do you have now, Martha?
just a cat, but
Oh,
we use
nice.
this trusted
Okay.
pet sitters, which is fantastic.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna
works like
ask
the, yeah,
I'm gonna ask you about that later. I'm writing
sure.
it down. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for arranging your schedules so that we could do this an hour earlier to make sure that everyone can participate as fully as possible. So I appreciate that. Today, we will begin with session 3, where we do the group journal writing. And this is, it's not really a recent change. I guess we've been doing this, well, since COVID, right, Sue? I think it was 2020, thereabouts.
Yeah, we started thinking about it then, but really
Yeah.
codified it a couple of years afterwards.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about the philosophy behind that. But for right now, let's take a look at what this process is, and then we'll lead you through actually writing a group journal. And we'll be asking for volunteers to think of questions to the prompts that we put up. So we can help each other lead the group through the process of writing, of the brainstorm, and then together we'll write the group journal. So as always, we are starting off with the core tools and techniques. Always begins with rules and making sure that everybody has their magic pencil. So let's do a quick review of the rules. What's the first rule that you can remember?
The back of your brain.
Yeah, use the back of your brain. Really try and dig down deep to open the box that lives back here where your imagination lives and see what pops out. And kind of forget the things that, the everyday stuff that's living up here, like your grocery lists or your task list or, the little reminders and alarms that are on your phone.
Brain
Great.
worm,
What do you say, Martha?
brain worms.
Brain worms, yes. Those can be used for bait and fishing, but we want the other stuff. That's great. What other rule can you remember of the 4?
This
There
word,
are no
right,
mistakes.
but it's don't filter.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't think. Kick
Uh,
that little, yeah, kick that editor off your shoulder that says, oh, I don't know. Is this right? I don't know. Don't worry about it. Just let the ideas flow from your brain and out, either onto the paper if you're a person who likes to take notes with your magic pencil as you're jotting your ideas down, or out verbally. So don't think, use the back of your brain. And then I heard someone else said something.
There
right.
are no mistakes.
There are no mistakes. That's correct. If it's in your head or your heart, it's right. So don't worry about making mistakes. And Mia, what were you going to say?
Sorry, I could not unmute for a second. I was going to say, write with your ears.
Yes,
Right.
and that is the last one, right with your ears. Think about the sound of your words that you're using. Sue,
And just to say, there's a method to the madness in the order that we do this, because it does kind of make a thematic sense and also go from, uh, I don't know. There is a method. So the first one is don't think. And that kind of disarms people right off the bat, right? Because, well, what do you mean? Right. And that kind of segues into, well, when you are thinking, the second one, use the back of your brain. So you already have those kind of thinking ways of using your brain rules. Then the third one is different, right? That's writing with ears. That's more about language itself. That's the linguistic one, about words having sound as well as meaning. And then the real great permission rule, which is no mistakes. So when you facilitate, it's good to keep it in that order because I think it does make a certain amount of sense. Although, having said that, whenever I ask people what are the rules, they do not respond in that order. So
No.
maybe I'm full of baloney. But anyway, that's the thought process.
No. Well, building on that, Sue, what I do is even if they organically come up in a different order, I rewrite the rules in the order in which we, would logically present them.
Yeah.
So whatever organically comes up is great. Visually, they'll see it in the order it should be, in the on the whiteboard or the chart paper.
Right.
And you'll be amazed at how many times the actual rules will still be up from the previous session, and they'll have a hard time coming up with them because they'll forget that they're up there. So don't be afraid to ask, even if you've left them up on the wall. All right, great. So again, we always start with rules and magic. I'm going to toss it to Sue here shortly. She's going to share some knowledge about what journals are and why we use them. The next step in this facilitation process is to find a common experience about that each person in the room shares that they can write about. Now, you would have chosen this common experience when you were planning your workshop. So when you chose your theme, you would also choose a common experience. It doesn't have to necessarily be aligned with the theme, but it should be, it may have been something that this group experienced as a result of, participating in the organization for whom you are delivering the workshop. Sue.
Yeah, just to add on to that, sometimes though, I have been in situations where it really isn't clear to me what the journal theme should be. But as I get to know the people and as we go through each session, it becomes clearer. So I know I myself often am not able to come up with the theme in the planning process at the beginning. And
Okay.
also because a lot of the people I work with are here on the vineyard, are adults who do a lot of writing themselves. I ask them sometimes, what do you think? And do you have an idea? I have not yet received an idea from any of those inquiries. So whether I'm not sure why that is, but so the idea of asking the participants is not, nothing's verboten, right? So that's a possibility too.
And we do have, you'll see we have some that are pretty general that you can always fall back on. And B has, I'll have to find the link, but B has some examples of journal writing that from previous workshops that she has in the drive that I can point you to as well. The brainstorm is shorter. Well, generally speaking, a little bit shorter, but we really focus on feelings with respect to the experience that we're exploring. Then we move to writing and then title and edit. Same process at the back end. You are more heavily relying on confirming here in the writing stage to really make sure that you're understanding the feelings that the people are sharing with you. And as always, manage your time. the time will get away from you. It might be a little bit slow to start, but it'll pick up speed, and pretty soon you'll be close to the end of the 90 minutes and you haven't titled your journal yet. So time management becomes a little bit key here. Any questions about the overall process before you experience what this feels like and looks like? Okay, let's go. So we're going to do this in interview style. I'm going to interview Sue, and she's going to ask some questions of you. So let's start with what the heck is a journal, Sue?
Well, actually, I should grab mine. I don't know if you can see it. I have a weird background. Maybe you can't even see it.
Oh yeah, it's
There it
blanking.
is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, mine happens to be a Moleskine. Um, and a journal is really a place that what we in the olden days kind of would call a diary that you would lock up if you were like a 12-year-old girl in the 1960s. Um, and a place where you can just either actually anything, and it doesn't even have to be writing, does it? It could be pictures, it could be things that you want to keep. It's a way to kind of document what's going on in your life at any given time. And then that brings up the question of why do you want to do that? But I don't want to. What's your next question,
Yep,
Pat?
that's yeah, let's throw it to the group. Why do we keep journals? Or why do people keep journals or diaries? How many people keep their own journal or diary?
I do.
You do. And why is it important for you to do that, Terry?
I am struggling to verbalize a reason.
Yeah.
I don't have a physical book. I
Mm-hmm.
keep it on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at the files on my laptop, you would see journal 2010, 11, 12,
Nice.
any, all these years.
Yeah.
Um,
And what do you do
I,
with
I
the
will say I feel good when I do it, and I feel
mm-hmm.
somewhat guilty when I don't do it.
Mm.
I don't
So it
expect anybody else to read it, goodness knows.
yeah. But it's for your own personal benefit. It does bring you some positive feelings when you get things down on paper. And it sounds like there's a little bit of uncomfortable there. You feel uncomfortable when you don't get them down.
Mhm.
But you enjoy looking back over the years and seeing. Do you
Yeah,
ever reflect back on the journals?
I do. Sometimes something
Yeah.
will come up that was from 2017, and I'll go back and see if I can find what I wrote then.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And um, sometimes it reminds me of things that, oh yeah, I was going to make it a point to always remember so and so's birthday, and I haven't done that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're good reminders, aren't they?
Oh
They're
yes.
they're a great way to reflect. So not only to get things out of your mind, but and sort of release pressure, but also as a way of remembering and going back and seeing what was happening during a certain time. Martha. Oh, you're on mute, Martha.
I don't now, but I have off and on over the years. And mostly it is when I was going through difficult times, it was a way to get it out of my brain and body, and sometimes to figure out what I was feeling or thinking. But mostly it
Yeah.
was just kind of venting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an
I'm not a
emotional
writer, so
release.
it wasn't writerly. It wasn't like, oh, I saw this today, and it was more
No, it's a
primal.
steady stream of consciousness about
Yeah,
whatever you're feeling, and
yeah.
it's a great way to get it, to kind of get it out of your mind and onto paper. It sort of relieves the stress of keeping it all up here.
And when we
Um,
just were cleaning out our basement and I found a box of, that included some old
oh,
journals. And my goodness, the compassion that I feel for my younger self.
oh, isn't it true?
Oh, geez. The behavior
Isn't
that
it
I
true?
tried to rationalize of how other people treated me, I mean,
Yeah,
oy,
yeah. It that is interesting. I do find that interesting. Of just um they're a great way to reflect, but they always, I find them full of surprises in that way. It's like, wow, I don't recognize the person I was,
yeah,
or oh my goodness, I wish I could go back and, give that person a hug,
yeah.
because they really needed it. It's interesting. Anyone else have different reasons that they keep journals?
Uh, well, I was hope I could maybe show you. I was, if I can I forget how to do this. Turn it to the other way.
Now you can
Oh,
just hold
yeah,
Hold
your
it up.
camera.
yeah.
Or I'll just turn it. So this
Okay.
stack is journals. Can you see it?
Mm,
Uh, it's red at the
Just
moment.
read.
yeah, we see a red
Oh, there we go. Oh, you're coming back into focus. Oh, well, let's see. Blanket. Oh, oh my goodness.
Wow.
There are probably 200 of them
Mm.
Wow.
from
Wow.
years, and that's not the new ones. Could you see them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Uh,
That is amazing. That's a lot of writing.
and I never record my life. I'm always using it to think. I lost. I'm sorry, I lost you at the gallery view.
Oh, let's see. I can't. We
Uh,
can see you.
I can't see me or any of you.
Um,
I I
Let me
might have to
see
go.
here.
I might have to go out and come back in again. Are you okay?
Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's amazing. That's a lot of journal writing. All right. What sorts of things do you like to remember?
Well, this brings up a really important question, which is what is the role of memory in our lives?
Mm,
Why is memory important? Is it important? And what sorts of things do you want to remember? And also, what sorts of things maybe do you not want to remember?
Mm,
And all of that really is part and parcel of journal writing, isn't it?
mm,
So we might not be thinking specifically about that while we're writing, say, oh, memory is important in my life. But it is a way of acting on those ideas, whether those ideas are in the forefront or not. But certainly,
mm,
I think that if you choose to go back to an old journal and look at what you've written before, then that's a choice about memory, isn't it? About choosing
mm,
to remember. I know that there were times when I used the journal to really specifically describe very, very difficult either events or feelings that I was having. And I know that I would not go back and look at those. That's a choice I've made several times. That choice might change. I might decide, yeah, I think I could look at that now. But so far, this is one particular time that I'm thinking of. Um, I'm choosing not to. So
mm,
journaling goes hand in hand with the idea of memory and its
mm,
usefulness.
would you
mm.
ever get rid of them?
No.
Because I've gotten rid of ones that feel like I don't need this in my house anymore.
That's
Hmm.
thing. Yeah, I do honestly worry about what happens, if I die and people find it,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want them to see it. But somehow getting rid of it feels, it doesn't, I'm not comfortable with that. And I have to,
Mhm.
it's a very good question. I got to think about why.
Mm. They're deeply personal, aren't they?
Yeah.
Deeply personal.
But not always. I mean, I find that I journal less frequently now, and there seems to be almost this automatic 10-day gap,
Mm,
and I go, oh, geez, I feel guilty, like Terry was saying, oh, I should really do this.
Mhm.
And I go and I write, and sometimes just say, oh, nothing much happened. Oh,
mm.
it's a
Mm.
lovely day in the neighborhood kind of stuff. Um,
I have a question, actually. I don't keep a, I have old desk diaries that I've kept that have just notes in them for the places I've been, the things that I was doing. But I moved to keeping a box, and in the box goes bits of like tickets and stubs and travel bits and some of the things that the girls have brought home. So in this box exists sort of the things that I want to remember, and I never think of that as a proper journal, but I'm wondering if that really is kind of a form of it, just keeping the physical bits. They're not organized in any way, but they're important to me. They're important. So sometimes I bring them out and I'm like, oh, that's where we were, or that's what we were doing. And
I have seen journals that are literally works of art, just gorgeous,
oh,
beautiful things where there are drawings and all sorts of illustrations and writings and poems, and those are beautiful.
People do scrapbooking, or they did. I don't know if it's still,
yeah, that's
but
true.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I,
Terry?
I keep a folder for each year for the play programs and a special greeting card and
Oh, nice.
other kinds of important mementos of things that happened that I just don't want to throw out, and they don't fit
No.
in a document on file.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Amazing.
nice. Yeah, so they come in many forms, they serve many purposes. Um, but fundamentally underlying that, it's all about memory or remembering in some form.
For me,
And
it's not, yeah,
yeah, this
I'm sorry
goes.
to disagree,
Oh,
but
sorry.
it's not at all about memory for me. It's about knowing what I think. I don't look at
Mm.
it's the way I think. So
Hmm.
nothing to do with memory.
Yeah, so
So,
it's a way of processing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. And
And
Mia did, oh,
I
go
have a
ahead.
box also.
Yeah, yeah.
Patty, I have a box. It wouldn't fit in a folder. It's a box.
It's a box, yeah. Mia, did you have, what somebody else was saying, I think it was Mia.
No,
About my own
No.
journaling or about journaling in general?
Oh, I thought we may have stepped on you as you were saying something.
Oh, no, I'm happy to
Okay.
say something, but I think that was probably
Yeah.
someone else. But no, I kept very religious journals when I was in high school and college and,
Mm.
a little bit after college.
Hmm.
Um, More recently, when the kids were born, or actually leading into that, I got very ambitious with writing journals to both my husband and both of my kids, but journals to them, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I have not I have not written in them in probably close to a decade at this point, but I used to do it pretty frequently and would,
Wow.
my idea was to give it to them on each of their birthdays or my
Mm.
husband on our anniversary, just to it's like
Yeah.
a different kind of a gift to give. So that was a different perspective when I was writing through that lens. I mean, I was still documenting things from my experience, but it was with respect to those people in my lives.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones when I
Yeah.
was younger were completely not self-centered, but not in a bad way. But
No.
if I go back and look at them now, it's like, oh gosh, it's so boring. It's like a diary of like my meetings and my classes. I mean, every once in a while there's some juicy stuff, but I think it was just my way of processing what I was going through in that stage of my life.
Yeah. I like that idea of writing to people. That's interesting. I haven't. Yeah, Martha.
I think, the older I get, the more I am convinced that, it's so subjective. Like we're all just I don't even know how to say this, but that I'm an unreliable narrator in every possible way.
Hmm.
So, and writing is not my preferred,
Hmm.
thing. So, if anything, I'm a little phobic about it. So it's interesting. I mean, like if I think, well, if I kept a journal, I don't necessarily believe that what I think or feel is true. So, uh,
Hmm.
so that I guess would make me less likely to do that.
To do it.
Yeah.
Sue?
Yeah, and that's um, an interesting segue into the other idea that is part and parcel of journal writing, which is the concept of time. Because whether something is true for you and the way you feel, the way you think, that changes over time as
Right.
well, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And
Right.
it might be something you want to revisit, which would link that sense of time to the sense of memory or not, right?
Hmm.
It might be something that you choose, like when we talk about what is a poem, and there are, a million gazillion definitions of what a poem is. What we in Writing Through say is that it is a snapshot of a moment in time, either a feeling or a thought or an idea or a vision, something.
Hmm.
It is a snapshot of a moment in time. And in some ways, a journal can be the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so journals are usually written in the first person. What is the first person point of view? What are some examples?
I think.
Yeah, yeah. I, we, my, mine, our, or ours. And so we will be thinking in terms of the first person as we brainstorm ideas about saying goodbye. Sue.
Before we get into that, I thought I would just talk for 1 minute about why we do this.
Yeah.
And is this the time to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And why we put it here in this session?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we started doing this, and it really grew out of a workshop, an ongoing 10-week, actually, it was once a month, it was 10 months workshop that we did during COVID with a group of high school students in West Covina,
Yeah, that was so
California.
cool. I was in on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so a lot of what they were thinking about was, what's going on? They couldn't even begin to process. They were home, and they didn't know when they would stop being home. And this turned into something that we were writing about, and the idea just kind of um, arose that we started to talk about journals. I had been thinking about this before, but it became even more important to me by working with those high school students. And I realized we could write a journal entry together the way that we write a poem together. And it is a way, again, like you all said, of processing, either depending on what we write about, something that is happening in our lives now, or something that we have experienced in the past. And when we do that, it gives us an opportunity to both remember how we felt about this thing in the past, but now to look at it now that time has moved forward and we've changed. And the memory of that experience has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's, I think, a very important experience to have, especially when you're trying to develop thinking skills and creativity and also objectivity. So, kind of from a writing point of view, when you write a poem, at least the poems that we do in Writing Through it, they're very, very internal. They're very much looking inside. And then we used to go from poetry writing to a group story. And that felt like too big a jump. you know, because really when you're writing about stories, you are creating a character who is not you, right? And how do you inhabit a character who is not you, yet might still have some of the feelings, thoughts, perspective that you have, but may not? How do you make that right? How do you make that jump? And also linguistically, you go from poetry writing where you can have one word in a line, 3 words in a line, without necessarily paying much attention to grammar or punctuation, to a story where it's prose. You start at the beginning, you go to the end, you have a capital letter, you have a period, it goes across the page, all of that. So the jump from poetry writing to story writing always felt jarred to me. And once we started to use journaling more in the workshops, I found it to be a natural bridge. And so that's really where the journaling came from. And it's also something that people want. People ask for it very often.
Mm. Very good. Any questions so far? Let's give it a try. And we will have you this be some group participation. The thing that we're going to think about and journal about is this idea of saying goodbye. That's our topic for our journal. Sue.
And also to know when you choose a topic, it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be specific, like saying goodbye to your best friend. It's just saying goodbye, which means it could be to anyone. Or not,
Anything.
or
Yeah.
choose not to say goodbye. Right?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay,
General.
so let me get the chat up. Get your brains warmed up. Let's see where to go. There it goes. Let's make sure it's not in the thing there. Perfect. All right. We will start with this prompt. So Sue is going to start out with a question. We'll brainstorm answers to that question, and then I would like each one of you to have a try at asking a question that you think would generate some ideas about this prompt. As we start, you may hear something that makes you want to ask a question, you know, a response like, oh, well, what about this? You can ask it to the group. And collectively, we will each facilitate this process of brainstorming. I'll let it happen organically. So as you think of, you know, questions, just say them, and I will attempt to record everything into the chat as you go. Everybody ready? All right, remember our rules. Here we go. Sue, lead us off.
I often ask to start out, what questions do you see? What question? What colors do you see? But that is actually, I think, especially pertinent here. What colors are in this picture?
Just shades of gray.
Good. Any others?
Those white dresses.
Mm-hmm. What color is the sky?
Gray and white.
Very cloudy.
Mm-hmm. And I'll ask one more question about colors before I hand it over. So we said cloudy, white, shades of gray. What do those colors make you feel like?
Melancholy.
Ollie, how do you see? No.
Nostalgic.
Wait. Here, let me submit nostalgicness.
Mhm.
And then we go back to melancholy. There we go.
Anything else? When I say, what does it make you feel like? It doesn't necessarily have to be an emotional feeling. It could be a physical feeling. Okay, I look at that and I feel cold and damp.
Feel claustrophobic
Mm. Why?
because of the crowds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who has another question that they could ask? Yeah, Terry.
When do you think this was?
Answers?
Early 20th century.
I think so too.
That's another question you could ask.
Are they ever coming back?
Oh, good question.
Mm-hmm. Right, the caption says boat leaving.
Yeah.
So the
Are they
question is,
coming back?
are they coming back?
What do you think, Janet or Mia? Are they coming back?
I think they hope they're coming back,
Mm.
but you never know, especially back then, right?
My guess is they're not coming back.
Mm.
Why would you say that?
I would say that because of the formality of the people there, of the people that are saying goodbye on the land and the people that are on the boat, that it doesn't look like a temporary thing to me. It looks more formal.
Mm.
Mm.
It doesn't look like just an excursion.
Right. But maybe they were more formal back there and these people are going on a trip. I don't know. My assumption was that they were leaving.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it looks final.
Hmm.
Sorry. One more question. What would you ask? And then we'll move to the next. What does goodbye taste like?
Any answers?
It depends.
Mm. On?
Well, this morning I happened to pass a friend as I was driving out of our development, and she's leaving tomorrow on a long trip.
Mm.
So I had a chance to wish her well, but I fully expect to see her again in 2 weeks.
I
If,
think that,
if it was a
So
different
it's not,
kind of
yeah,
goodbye, that
it's
would
not
be a
permanent.
totally different. Exactly.
but it
Exactly.
has to do with expectation, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It could be
Yeah.
hopeful. They may be leaving for a better life,
Mm-hmm.
What is
not
that?
sort of, they don't, it doesn't look desperate to me. I mean, they're wearing their nice
Mm.
hats and people have come to say goodbye and somebody's wearing a fur stole. I mean, it doesn't look like a refugee ship to me.
For
Mm.
sure. Right. Mhm.
Very good. All right.
Move the next one. Here we go.
What's happening here?
People going to the beach.
What beach are they going to?
A beach where they don't have to wear seatbelts.
Seatbelt.
It's a practical lady.
What can you tell us about the car? For example, what color is it?
Blue.
Heel.
Mhm. Is it big? Is it small?
It's too small for all of
Crowded.
them to fit comfortably.
Mhm.
And
Is
it
it
looked
old
like
or
it
new?
has an exhaust system enhancement,
It's a new
They're
exhaust.
pre-catalytic
No,
converters or something.
Yeah.
it has no doors or roof.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
True.
It looks fun and a little dangerous.
Mhm.
They're shedding or discarding their belongings along the way.
How do they feel?
Joyful, exuberant.
Exuberant.
Carefree.
Mhm.
Excited.
Excited. Carefree.
Who are they saying goodbye to?
The women.
Mhm.
I said exuberant also. I don't know if you.
Yeah, let me get
What?
that one. I gotta get my, hang on one second.
I think they're saying
All
goodbye
right,
to
who else has
their
who
parents.
else has a question? There we go. My keyboard is delaying. You get too many things on the Bluetooth and it gets upset.
Mhm. Yeah, what's another question for this picture?
What is he pointing towards?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Any ideas?
The beach.
Beach, yeah,
Ocean.
or the right direction.
He has on a scuba snorkel thing, the one guy.
Mhm.
And then there's the guy whose feet you see, but you can't see him. I wonder about him.
Scuba snorkel. Yeah. What? Oh, you see your feet?
Right. What's going on with him?
Mhm.
He's passed out.
Right,
He
interesting.
took
So
the
that brings up
margaritas too early.
Yeah.
another question. What time of day is this?
Morning.
Yeah, morning.
All right. Should we do one more, Sue, and move on to the item, or you want to just jump to the item?
Let's do the item. We'll
Okay.
see at the time.
So I'm gonna hold it up.
Wow.
This is something that I do more and more, especially around the journal writing, the idea of a physical prompt. So first question is, what is that?
Pasapita.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about it right off the bat?
It's expired.
Expired.
Yeah.
It's got extra pages in it
Mm-hmm.
Why might it have extra pages?
because she lived overseas and she traveled a lot,
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Lots of stamps.
What do those stamps represent?
Different points of entry, right?
Mm-hmm. Places, travel.
Visa on entry.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Visa on entry.
Why are we showing this to you?
Because the implied travel means you've said goodbye to some people.
Mm.
And here is a question that Patty and I were throwing around a little bit earlier. Patty, if you would hold it up.
Yeah. It's gonna record that. There we go.
What, I want to say this right. How, okay, what I want to
How
say,
does it
how does it taste? But I don't mean if you were to eat it. I mean, if it was to taste something, what would that taste like?
like? What taste would all of this represent?
Say richness.
Mm.
I don't know if that's a taste, but a
Yeah, I think it is.
sensation.
What else?
I always think it's spicy for some reason. Because
Spice?
sometimes spicy is, good zingy, and then sometimes spicy is overwhelming. Too much spice.
Mm-hmm. Have we lost Terry?
Oh, we may have done.
Yeah. Is this... Jan, did you have any ideas about this? If it could taste, what would that taste? If it had a mouth, what would that taste be like in its mouth?
I'm not getting imagery in the taste department. I remember Mia had a really good one.
Or here's another one. If it had ears, if it could hear, what sounds would it be noticing?
Foreign languages, different
Mm,
accents.
mm.
There's Terry.
Yes, sorry, I had to leave my job.
Yeah, yeah.
No worry. Okay, Mia, do you have anything you want to add to this? Because I think this is kind of the end of the brainstorm part.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Let's do this. Let's take a 10-minute break, come back at the top of the hour, and we will write our journal. Sound good?
Okay.
Okie
All
dokie.
right.
Thanks.
Very good.
I may or may not be back. So
Okay, and Martha, since
Yeah.
this is something that's really, I mean, you saw this with the West Covina, but this is part of the newer stuff.
right.
So, if
I'll
you can't be back, maybe you could watch the
The
definitely.
back end of it.
Yeah,
okay.
I will.
Very good.
I'll have
Very
to
good.
watch the
Thanks
video
for joining,
today.
Martha.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, let me pause recording too. Hello with the feet. Passed out. Thanks, Sue. Mark's too early. Morning passport expired, extra pages, lived overseas, lots of stamps, visas on entry. You said goodbye to some people, richness, spicy, accents, and languages. It's a lot of variety in that. All right, let me admit Terry.
I did.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. All righty, let's start. Except I just lost my.
And because there's kind of a time, we want to be aware of the time. I'm going to ask everybody to contribute something, and then we'll see how much we could do. Okay. Now remember, the idea is saying goodbye. You do not have to talk about a specific thing if you don't want to. You can just refer to memories or thoughts or feelings or anything like that. If you do want to say something specific, sure, go ahead. But don't feel like you have to start talking about something specific.
Mm.
So who wants to start?
Can you, I'm sorry, my
Yeah.
brain's a little slow today. Or can you just give us the prompt, like what's the prompt? What are we trying to?
Well, we're using all of the prompts and all the brainstorming just to have our heads full of ideas and thoughts and words. And again, the idea is saying goodbye. So
Yeah. So we're
in your head, maybe link it to a time when you said goodbye.
Mhm.
Or if you chose not to say goodbye, again, you don't have to tell us what that situation was if you don't want to, but you could. But you don't have to go on just like one sentence,
Yeah.
just like the
What's
poem.
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind about saying goodbye. Oh, go
Yep.
ahead, Terry.
Short-term goodbyes are easy, but goodbyes that feel final are really difficult.
Great.
I feel that. Excuse me.
So you feel that short-term goodbyes are easy,
Hmm.
but goodbyes that feel final are very difficult,
Right.
right?
Let me make this bigger than it is.
Mhm.
Sorry. Make that bigger. There we go.
Find goodbyes are always with, I experience goodbyes with mixed emotions because either you really are happy, that you're saying goodbye to this person, and that is for a reason that maybe, you're not, it wasn't enough.
We have like actually, take that and put it into a sentence or two, a specific thing we could write.
Okay.
Mm.
Goodbyes bring mixed emotions.
Mm. Now you can say why, Mia. Why did they bring mixed emotions for you?
Well, if it's someone that you really want to be with and don't want to say goodbye to, then it's a joyful relationship. And then
Excuse me. Somebody's walking up to my door. Can you keep
Oh
going?
yeah. Yep.
on the other hand, you may be excited to say goodbye to certain
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by the mixed emotions.
Yeah. Who else?
I can't see anybody else, so
Okay.
am I the only one with my hand up?
Yeah, go ahead, Janet, and don't worry, because sometimes when I'm looking at the screen, I don't see your hand up. So just verbalize when you have something. I don't want to miss you.
Um, sometimes instead of saying goodbye, I like to just slip away.
Ah, and why is that?
I'm back.
It's
Sorry.
Yeah.
it's more open to opportunity. It's less defined.
Hmm. Not final, huh?
Okay, let me read this. So it's a good idea once you have a few sentences together to read it just to see what the flow is like. I feel that short-term goodbyes are easy, but goodbyes that feel final are very difficult. Goodbyes bring mixed emotions. If it is someone you really enjoy, you don't want to say goodbye. It's a joyful relationship. On the other hand, you might be excited to say goodbye. Instead of saying goodbye, I like to slip away. It is more open to opportunity and less defined. It isn't final.
Hmm.
I would say that now another paragraph where you're really thinking about how you felt. It could be, I remember a time when I felt. or just I felt or I thought. Or I chose.
Mm. Carrie, it looks like you have something to say.
No.
No.
Janet, what about you?
I guess I would say, I never knew it would be so hard to say goodbye.
Good. I mean, this is a time when it might be really good to have a very specific thing in your head, a very specific example of what you want to think about or revisit in your mind that you could respond to.
I remember in Singapore when we first moved there, there's this idea amongst expats that have lived there a long time that they don't want to meet new people because they feel like it's too difficult to always say goodbye, and they're always saying goodbye. So they close themselves off to new relationships because they don't want that end, that repetitive end that happens every 3 years when you're
Yeah.
not, you're not the person staying there anymore.
Yeah, it's an important
Um,
idea. Can you put that into a sentence?
yeah, let's see. Sometimes I don't say hello because there are too many goodbyes.
I'm going to say one now. Um, and this is okay. You can sometimes, inject yourself. I try not to do it too much, maybe once. But I often wonder if the cost of pain is too high a price to pay for the experience of love.
Mm, mm. Shall we read it?
Sure.
I feel that short-term goodbyes are easy, but goodbyes that feel final are very difficult. Goodbyes bring big mixed emotions. If it's someone you really enjoy, you don't want to say goodbye. It's a joyful relationship. On the other hand, you might be excited to say goodbye. Instead of saying goodbye, I like to slip away. It's more open to opportunity and less defined. It isn't final. I never knew it would be so hard to say goodbye. Sometimes I don't say hello because there are too many goodbyes. I wonder if the cost of pain is too high a price to pay for the experience of love. Is it finished?
That has a final feel to me.
Yeah. Anybody want to add anything else?
Not for the journal,
Yeah.
but just as a point of comment. I visited my cousin recently,
Hmm.
101, and she wanted me to get something from her address book. And when I opened it, entry after entry after entry was crossed out. She has
Oh,
outlived so many of her friends.
wow.
And that really hit me to see all those X's on the entries.
Wow. That's amazing. That has a lot of visual impact, doesn't it?
Mhm. It really did. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you don't think about that when you're like 101. Wow, what a milestone. But there's a cost to that, isn't there? There's a cost to that. That's amazing.
So if I would just kind of, as a summary before we choose the title, so if you were to do this with a group, you would push a little bit more and go a little bit more and encourage people to think about what someone else has said and respond to it. Very often, it doesn't have to follow logically. Very often, somebody will say something like, I didn't want to say goodbye because I didn't want to cry. And then the next sentence could be, I really like crying, and this gave me a chance to do it. You see, it doesn't have to follow logically, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is because our own emotions are all over the place and sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that steady stream of consciousness doesn't have to link. It just whatever's popping basically comes out on the paper. So yeah, you don't have to worry about making everything fit, I think is what Sue's saying.
Right, because I think people get stuck on the idea that it has to make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense in that way. So does anybody want to add anything to this before we start talking about titles?
All right.
Okay, so who remembers how we choose titles in writing through? At least in group writing.
Yeah. What did we do for the group poem when we were trying to choose the title for the group poem?
We went back through the
Brainstorm titles and
Yep.
listened and then voted.
Yep.
I like Shades of Gray. That's the very first thing.
Shades of Gray. All right.
Cost of love.
Cost of love. Okay.
Patty, can you do this? I'm sorry, I have to attend to this thing.
Yep. No worries. What other titles?
No seatbelts.
No seatbelts. That works. One more. Anybody? Okay. We've got 3: Shades of Gray, Cost of Love, and No Seatbelts. So close your eyes, and I'm going to read off the title, and then you raise your hand to vote if you like it. No Seatbelts. Okay. Cost of Love. And Shades of Gray. Okay. The winner is No Seatbelts. Very good. Here we go. Let's see here. Oh, I'm mixing my fonts and I don't like the way they look, but we'll sort that out later. I will put this in a PDF and it will come attached to your email this evening so that you have it. Very good. Any questions about the journal? All righty. Let us go and shift the key. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Did you say that there's a list of ideas for the journal somewhere in the material?
Yeah, there are journal entries that have been written in the past, and they should have the ideas that were used. And I will send a link to those so that you can take a look at the things that have been written before.
So there's not a specific list, but we can see what other people have come up with. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see. So let me write that down. Parking lot. Send link to sample journals in email. Okay, perfect. Okay. In the last part of today, I'm going to switch up the order a bit. We want to talk about editing, the writing through way. And then Sue and I will plan out tomorrow in terms of getting to talk about, how we run the story session and managing the writing process. Those two go hand in hand because most of the management is going to happen in that in the um, story writing process when you're working with groups of writers, and in the management of the individual poem writing process. So those link well. We're going to punt that probably to tomorrow and focus now on how we edit, because you will be coaching participants in their writing, most especially when they're individually writing, and when both in the poetry and then when they're doing their small group stories. And we do this, there are reasons why we do this a very specific way. So we'd like to focus on that. How many people were able to watch the video last from editing? Perfect. Okay, so one. Okay, great. All right, so let me skip through to this. Okay. So I've got one person that's for, okay, so first we're going to review why and how we edit, and then we'll take some questions and then try a hand at editing something that we typically see in our workshop, something that a student would write in this instance in Cambodia. So English is a second language. So Sue, I'm going to cast it to you to talk a little bit about the philosophy of what we're trying to accomplish and why this is important to do it this way. And then we'll talk about the specifics of, and I'll emphasize the purpose, the focus, and how we edit.
Right. Okay. So this is where it's really good to remember that this is not a predominantly an English language course or a writing course, in that we have to think about the product. This is about developing fluency of thought and creativity. And that's what, setting up the atmosphere in the classroom is all about. We don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that. And that's why we edit with a light touch. But having said that, we also have to make it clear that any language is about communication. And if you have no grammar or anything, no one's going to be able to understand what you're saying or what you're writing. And so there are certain basic things that we do. And the way that we do it is that we will just kind of go around to each person or each little group. I'll put my hand out. They will automatically put the pencil in. And as I'm reading for content, I'll say things like, "Oh, remember, you need a period. Is this a full sentence? Oh, yeah, right. Okay, let's put a period there." Or, and especially a language like Cambodia, where she uses tenses in a very different way. They really struggle with tense. And so I'll say, "Oh, this is in the past, right? Oh, yeah. So you want to put ed?" And then they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And my response is, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Don't worry, don't worry. We're fixing it here." So the idea is that when it's in the magazine and they go back and read it as they will, they'll see it the correct way. And that's what I mean by a light touch. So spelling counts, starting sentences with a capital letter, ending it with the proper punctuation throughout. Feel free to ask them, do you want this to be 2 sentences or 1, or, commas, something like quotation marks. There are different, depending on your country, in Britain versus the US, what you do with the punctuation marks in quotation marks is different. But, you know, I'm now in the US, so I do it the American way. So, you know, where do you put the comma inside the quotation before, you know, you say she said or whatever. It's that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's a light touch. And it's done in a very kind of don't worry about it sort of way.
Yeah, so we're striking a balance between, you know, the clarity and the correctness of writing, but not um, throwing it up as an obstacle or a barrier to the expression of their ideas. So you're walking a fine line, and it's always a supportive and collaborative process. So you remember when you're giving feedback, you want to maintain this participant's self-esteem. So when I'm editing, I always start with what they're doing well, and then what they need to change and why, how to change it, and then checking to make sure that they're understanding why this is happening. Um, the other tip I will give is that choose your battles. No one wants to hear, you know, once you touch on a couple of capitalizations, let's leave it be. Don't beat the horse, okay? Choose the big things that would be helpful to their learning. Leave the little bits out. You can always correct them when you're typing them into the magazine. So the principle is don't overwhelm the learner. And giving too much correction can be demoralizing as well. So choose your battle and focus on that, because that's learning. That's enough learning. And then, as Sue mentioned, when they see it in the magazine, they'll see the other corrections that you made.
Oh, a Zoom call.
The one main rule is never change their voice, or the intent or their original meaning. And if you are at all unsure about a change that you're making without them present, don't make the change. Just leave it as is. Because it's that they own the ideas. They're their ideas. We want them to express them however they came out. Any questions? Anything I missed, Sue? Or
No, I think that's
not
it.
really tight? Okay. So in your course books, you'll find this process that really just provides you a lot of detail about how we do this. During the sessions, so especially during the individual poem writing and the small group story, we've got 2 or 3 people writing a story together. You're going to wait until they finish, and then you're going to go around to each person or each group and sit down, read the entire poem or story, make sure you understand it. And this is where you can use clarifying, confirming to make sure that you understand what they were trying to say. Again, always start with what they did well before making any corrections. And then you're going to edit lightly, as Sue said, ask for the pencil and read through it, focusing on those basic building blocks. Never change the intent or meaning of the work, and we only do what is necessary to make their poem or story more clear to a reader. And then these specific guidance, as Sue mentioned, you know, you're reading each piece aloud, and then you're asking, is this a question? Does this need a question mark, etc. I've already mentioned over editing. If it's a poem, you may want to suggest ways to break it into stanzas. Stories, obviously, break into paragraphs. And you're always checking in with the participant. You know, what do you think about this? And looking for body language. Are they indicating that they're confused? Are they indicating that they're dissatisfied with the change? And then working with them. Finally, always make sure there's a title, the author's names, and ages if appropriate. And the if appropriate for the age is usually a student under the age of 18. And then you're collecting all the papers to make sure that you have it to type up into the magazine. And that's the basic bit. Any questions before we try our hand at editing? Okay, go ahead, Sue.
Only thing that I'll add is just to remember what we're doing now is editing prose. Okay, when we edit the group poem or individual poems, it's all a question. You know, here are rules, remind them of rules that apply to prose, but they don't have to follow those rules, you know. So every line can start with a capital letter, but it doesn't have to. Every line could have a period at the end, but it doesn't have to. That's the difference, right? So they are open to make many more choices about the basics of punctuation. They could choose to have absolutely no punctuation in poetry. That's okay. This is now prose, which is a different story.
Yeah, I think I need to add a clarification about that in here, Sue.
Yeah.
I'll do that later. Okay. Just a couple tips. Sometimes if you have a large group of participants, you may run out of time. And before the participants, you may run out of time, you may not be able to read and edit everyone's poem or story. So before they leave, you can do as much as possible. But you at a minimum want to make sure that you give some constructive feedback to the entire class. You know, what generally have you noticed them doing well? If you have any suggestions for them, you can offer those, but you know, give them some positive feedback as they exit the class. Make sure that everyone turns something in and it has a title and the author's names. And then later, when you're creating the magazine, you can do the light edit without, again, watching carefully to make sure that you're not changing the voice. It does sometimes happen. In Cambodia, we tend to have very large classes of 20, and it is it's almost impossible to get around to everyone and spend, you know, a detailed amount of time with them. So it is possible that this will happen to you. And then I have some tips here that we've already touched on. Any questions about that?
Now, why don't we give it a go?
Okay.
And
Let's give it a go.
let's give it a go.
All right. So here is a story that was actually submitted by a participant in Cambodia, and we have left it in its original form. So, Sue, if you will lead, I will edit.
Okay.
And
And
you guys are editing, I'm recording your edits. So,
right. And when you guys see mistakes, just yell them out. Just
Mhm.
yell them out loud so that we can. The beginning of the spring we're starting.
What might you suggest?
Was starting.
Mm-hmm. The beginning of the spring.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the beginning of spring with a capital S? Right. The beginning of spring was starting.
Mm.
Toka, a boy with the straight brown hair, was playing at the beach near his farm.
You don't need the on.
Mhm.
Right.
There you go.
And probably Toka, comma, a boy with straight brown hair, comma, was playing at the beach near his farm.
Mhm.
While he was playing alone, he hears the strange sound from the sea.
Should be past tense.
Yeah. This is not unusual, this tense shifting.
Yeah. He ran quickly to see what happened. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, he sees a little mermaid was stuck in the fishing net.
How cute. That's passed.
And what else? Suddenly he saw a little mermaid was stuck in the fishing net.
So a Little Mermaid was stuck in the fishing.
Yeah, I guess you could leave it.
I would leave that.
Yeah, I think it could be either way.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you
Oh,
could
here we
say
go.
suddenly he saw that a Little Mermaid was stuck in the fishing net.
Yeah,
But again, that's not a necessary thing. You can ask them.
yeah.
A little mermaid said, "Hi, can you please take off the fishing net from me?" Janet, I know you know this stuff.
I'm
Are
I'm not going to get into the editing part just because I'm a professional editor. So you guys go ahead.
I am too, Janet. I'm struggling.
Okay.
well, this is a good exercise, right? Because what would you say?
I would actually do even a lot more minimal than what you did. I wouldn't change as many things as you have changed because I really love the voice of the person. And if it's not quite
Mhm.
right camera, I wouldn't make a lot of the changes you've already made.
Mm, mm.
So, for example, what would you not have done?
I wouldn't have taken out of the beginning of the spring. The was fine to me. All of those things I
Mhm.
don't think are important to this. And making the tenses agree, I wouldn't worry about that. Maybe making the verbs match the subject, like Toka feel hesitant. That feels awkward, but I don't think that the other ones
You
are
might do
a
that.
problem. To me, they're not.
Mm, yeah.
Okay.
So this speaks to, I mean, you will need to use your judgment, right? Where is your participant? How can you best help them move, learn a bit without overwhelming them and without changing the voice? And this will require your own judgment. So we do want to teach them a bit, especially, I mean, capitalization,
Oh,
punctuation generally helps, but we don't want to overwhelm them and we don't want to change their voice.
right.
So
And
that might,
spring isn't necessarily capitalized. So, there's a lot of gray zone. So I wouldn't have
yeah,
capitalized that. It's
yeah,
capitalized in the Americas.
yeah.
But for
Well, what I
instance,
like, what
How
I
old
like
is the
about what you're
writer?
doing, Janet,
Yeah.
is that as a professional editor, your tendency might be to go full on. I like that you're holding back
Oh no,
because typically,
never want to go full on. I would never.
yeah,
So, and
yeah,
I would only change the minimal things that really you make it so you can understand. So,
can't understand it. Yeah.
but
So,
for instance, this sentence here, the punctuation at the end, you have, "Can you please take off the fishing net from me?" Question mark, quotation, period.
right. Well, I would just do that in the magazine. I wouldn't even talk about that to
oh, I
the
see.
kid. I would some of those things I would clean up, but I wouldn't bother to talk to the
Mm.
writer about it.
Okay, well, I think it could go either way. And I think it also,
That's just that's just how I would do it. I'm just
yeah.
saying that I have an opinion about how I would do it.
Okay.
How old is the writer?
This one would be a student, and I'm gonna guess somewhere around 15, maybe.
Yeah, this was like a early high school.
Yeah, it's very different in Cambodia. You will have 21, 22-year-olds in high school, because of the nature of, work and school, and when they start school or when they're able to start school. So it's not unusual to see, an adult in high school, what we would consider an adult in high school in Cambodia. All right, let's see. So Toka feels afraid and ran away. What might you do here?
Felt, because we're doing past
Oh,
tense.
Yeah. Whoops, sorry. Yep. The poor little mermaid begged him again. Toka feel hesitate, but he came back for help.
Toka felt hesitant.
Hesitation, too strong a word, too big a word for him, for the writer.
You could, yeah. Well, you could teach a new word, but if they came up
Or
with hesitated, or I might say
make
Toka
it
hesitated.
hesitant.
Yeah,
I said Toka felt hesitant.
felt hesitant.
It seemed to mirror closely what.
That's
Yeah.
an example of, you could give them two
Yep.
options.
Right.
Yep.
Which do you like the sound of, right?
Yep. He talked to her, or hi, or yes, of course.
Ah,
Yeah.
commas in there.
Okay. Where would you put your commas?
Comma, hi, comma, comma, yes, of course. Even after yes, I guess.
And this brings up an interesting conversation that
Yeah.
you could leave the ers in, or you could, it depends on why the is in. Because sometimes people think that when you have a quotation, you have to put everything exactly the way they said it, right?
Mm.
So you have to say like, yeah, right, the way that you speak. But in written prose, you don't necessarily need to do that. If you want to do it because you're showing something about the way the character thinks or speaks, great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So they could get rid of the ers or keep them in.
Up to them. After helping, a little mermaid said, thanks for your help. My name is Alyssa. I lived in the under of the sea, and today I came here for playing. Unfortunately, I was stuck in a fishing net. Where might you start here?
This brings up a very difficult thing to explain to non-English speakers, and that's the use of pronouns, indefinite pronouns, and also words like the. So after helping, a little mermaid said, now I would think that should be the little mermaid because all along we're talking about one specific mermaid.
Right.
And I would try to explain that to them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, anytime, if there's ever any pushback and they can explain why they're pushing back, that's fine. Go with what they say.
Okay, what else for this?
My name is Alyssa. The my should be capitalized.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the T in thanks?
That too, it's the start of a quotation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I
my
love
name is
this.
Alyssa is complete as a sentence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I would delete in the before under of the sea and just I lived under the sea.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering whether they thought there was such a place as the under of the sea. I'm thinking of that TV show Stranger Things, the upside down, right?
Oh,
But probably not. They probably just got caught up in their prepositions.
yeah.
So I lived under the sea, so get rid of the of. And today I came here for playing.
Period.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, and probably comma,
Mm.
I was stuck in the fishing net. And what's your name?
Mhm. I love that. I would probably leave that. I know people who speak like they just run into that. They get so excited.
Toka was really surprised when he saw the mermaid for the first time. That's a great sentence.
Yeah.
But he replied her back.
Yeah.
Just replied.
Or he said, whatever, but he replied, comma, right. I am Toka, and I came to visit my farm near the sea. So it's the same conversation with the ers.
Yeah.
Alyssa asked him for a wish. It's good. And Toka
Mhm.
told her that he wanted to see the view under the sea.
Hmm.
Then Alyssa said, so please wear this ring and then you can swim as a mermaid. See, that's an example of something, is it the best English? Is it, no, but that's all right. I think this is maintaining their voice. So please wear this ring and then you can swim as a mermaid. Toka wore the ring and started swimming behind Alyssa.
Started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Toka was really surprised. He saw the colorful and diverse nature, the variety fish, and the corals.
Variety of fish.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would you do anything with the first part or not really?
He saw the colorful and diverse nature.
Yeah. It's like
Well, nature
sweet because
could
it's
be
the
a
voice.
noun as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a noun there both ways, but so it could be he saw the colorful and diverse nature of something, but that would really
Yeah.
be changing it. He saw,
Personally, I'd probably leave it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
probably would. You could get rid of the and say he saw colorful and diverse nature.
Diverse
I would
nature.
probably just leave it.
Yeah.
Toka was very excited and continued to see many things around him.
Continued past tense.
Yeah.
Immediately, there was a shark that swam toward him. This is pretty good. Alyssa told Toka to follow her as fast as possible. Toka moved quickly and tried to escape from the shark attack successfully.
Get rid of the D on escape.
Yeah.
He felt really unbelievable that he could be a survivor. This is interesting, this one.
Could say he felt it was really unbelievable, or he
Mm.
felt disbelief, if you want to teach a new word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Either would work.
Or, I mean, I might even say to them, what do you think about? He felt really amazed,
Mm-hmm.
or change the word. But if they, because that might be what they meant. But if not, if they like the word of unbelievable, because also it's a big word and they like to use big words,
Mm-hmm.
he felt it was really unbelievable. There are a lot of ways you could go with that. And a lot of it has to do with their ear, I think.
Yeah.
He felt it was really unbelievable that he can be a survivor.
I would say could there.
This again is,
That's
not thinking that about Janet. My guess, Janet, is that you would leave it can.
I would.
Yeah.
I would leave
Yeah.
a lot of stuff you change. Sorry. I would only
Yeah.
fix the tenses. That's the only thing I would change.
Yeah. After seeing many things, Alyssa brought him to visit her family. They were greeting him so well. They were greeting him so well, I guess I would just want to make sure I would say, tell me what you mean by that,
Mm-hmm.
and see if there was spoken language that was closer, that meant what they wanted, that would make more sense.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to say they were very happy to see him or
See
very
him.
excited to
Yeah.
meet him or something like that. Or
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sorry, I
Exactly.
have to leave to go to a meeting in another.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
No worries, Terry. Thanks so much.
I
We'll
think
see
we
you
got through the
tomorrow.
important stuff.
Oh,
Anyway.
so quick question. Oh, wait, I lost her. I'll email her. Um, okay. So you can see editing is very fluid. Consider the sort of the parameters that we've given you in terms of the types of things we're looking to do. Understand your participant. What do you feel that this person would most benefit from hearing? Don't overwhelm and never change their voice. Those are like the key principles to keep in mind. And then if at any point you're like, wow, I just don't know, leave it. Lighter is better, less is more.
There is
Um,
something else that sometimes is in my head, and I always have to struggle with this. Depends on who the organization, the partnering organization, is
oh,
and their expectations.
yeah.
Um, if they see a magazine that is full of what they would think is incorrect grammar, they might really have trouble with that.
So you could talk to them ahead of time and
But
say,
then
yeah.
you have to have a
Mhm.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to imagine you have to do a lot of differentiation also. I mean, some students are just, it would be weird having perfectly fluent English come out of their mouths, and by perfectly fluent, I mean like high school or college level, grammar.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at all the things that if it were my children who are native English speakers in high school that were pushing to be, you know, even more fluent and know all the rules of commas and,
Hmm.
participles and everything. But if, that's not the purpose, then that could be really demoralizing for somebody to say, oh my God, I'm never going to learn English if I have to memorize
Yeah.
all these crazy tenses that we have.
That is exactly what you say to the partner
Yeah.
if they're in.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the exact attitude to have towards this. Um, and so when I read their story, like sometimes the way they express themselves and like they express an idea is just, technically it's not correct, but it's beautiful
Hmm.
and has its own, it surprises me in a way that like, wow, I can't change that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, different languages have different poetry to them and different rhythms, and
right.
it's so lovely to see the mistakes that they make in
Yeah.
English because it often reflects. I mean, as someone who's multilingual, I see this all the time, and you find such beautiful nuances and differences in the
Hmm.
words. And some of that I think is so lovely to leave in because it is a little bit more of a cultural
Yeah.
um, reflection rather than just trying to Americanize everything, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I think you guys have got the right
Yeah.
mind frame for this. Any questions about editing
Do you do this process in front of everyone? Or you do this individually with each person?
individually? And if there's like a common thing that's coming up, say that, five people are misspelling the same word, I might just say, hey, by the way, this is how we spell, science.
Hmm.
And I might just put it up on the board for them to refer to if they need to. Um, but yeah, this is typically happening one-on-one or one-on-three if you've got the small groups working to create a story.
And then for the other pieces, like where you're doing the brainstorm, do you just edit kind of as you're putting the ideas down?
When I'm doing the brainstorm, I'm just recording exactly what's being said. I'm not editing the brainstorm at all.
So if some of
When
it's taken out of the brainstorm into like the group poem or the group journal, at that point, then do you do it in
I
front of
might
everyone?
I'll do sort of a mix. So I'll be watching the time, Mia, for the group poem. If the ideas are flowing and I want to keep them flowing, I might start organizing them into the ideas into stanzas as they naturally pause or as I see a natural break. And I might start organizing that way so that all the ideas can come out and we don't have to worry about the specifics of editing.
Mhm.
If I have time at the end of the group poem, we'll just run through. Do you want a, capital here? No? Okay, no worries.
Right.
Are you happy with this stanza? Great, let's keep it there. Do you want to change the way this word looks? I'll make suggestions, but they have final, especially in the poem, they have final say on whatever happens inside the poem. So I'll start the process a little bit of organizing the way and as it comes naturally, but and then if I have time at the end, we'll do a whole edit of the group poem. And then for the group story, Sue, you can this is a probably an individual facilitator approach. I will, for the group story, start with, sentence with a capital, end it with a period, whatever appropriate punctuation. I might naturally add a comma in the appropriate spot, or, I may forget to add, and I'll say, oh, you know what? When we go to edit the group story, I'm like, what do you think about a comma here? It really, helps break up the sentence, and do it that way.
Well, remember,
Uh,
we don't do group stories anymore, right?
Oh, that's right. Shoot. Yep.
It's the
No, when I'm
journal.
doing, sorry, the journal. Yeah.
That's the same. The same holds true. It's the same point.
Yeah. Same
Yeah.
point for the group journal. Sorry. Um, yeah. So it's a little bit of a mix. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I'm glad to see, I mean, a lot of times people will want to really have a much heavier hand. You guys, I think, got it right off the bat that
Mm-hmm.
they want to go really light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've had some trainees who really want to be heavy on it. And then we have to have a conversation about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys got the right attitude.
Yeah.
Um, anything else? Any other questions? Mia, I know you can start earlier tomorrow. Janet, did you have to leave at a certain?
Yeah, I have a meeting at 1 tomorrow.
Okay.
I think I'm the only one though tomorrow. So if you don't have to change it just for me.
I'm fine changing
I
it.
could do 11 tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I could do 11. Can you do 11, Janet?
Yeah, I can. It's hardest on Mia. You're like getting up.
Oh
right
no,
at-
I'm up at
are
no
you
no
okay?
no.
Or
I'm up
taking
at 6 a.m. LA time. No, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're okay.
it's only hard for me because it's not even hard. It's just that I have to be off camera for some of it because that's when I take my
It's
kids
fine.
to school. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. And that's fine, Mia. Yeah, it's not a problem for me. Like, yeah, I'm like Mia. I'm like, I had two swimmers in the house, so I was used to being up at 5 a.m. And I haven't gotten rid of that habit. So
Yep.
Well,
and I-
that's good for me, but I don't want to
yeah,
inconvenience everybody. So
Oh, we're fine. Yeah.
that's fine. And I'll send Terry a note. If I recall correctly, I think she is free to come early. So, but I'll
Okay.
confirm that in an email. And tomorrow, Sue and I are just going to plot and plan about the agenda for tomorrow, but likely it will cover stories, just, generally how we facilitate that, the things that you need to, how you prepare for that day, because a lot of the success is determined by all the preparation that happens the night before in terms of organizing who's going to be writing together. And getting all the materials ready for that. I'll touch on the magazine. We won't spend a lot of time with the magazine, and if you watched the video that Beat put together about how to create the magazine, it's pretty comprehensive. um, and we can always support you on the back end with that. That's something that's easy to handle. When you go to do your first workshop, we can address any questions you might have about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the big event. And then the back half, we want to just open it up to Q&A. Generally, what you're thinking, how you might approach setting up your first workshop. any, questions about doing that, support that you might need, and sort of the next steps. So any questions about where we're headed? All righty, and we'll let you go. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Bye, guys. Take care.
Mara, thank you.
Stop recording.